Hello, everybody. This is Buddy Webb here in Midland, Texas. This is going to be a very, very interesting video. It's another on the Hailey Dunn, but what it's going to be is information that has never been publicly released. I've had this for a long time. A woman, Melissa Rana Campbell, we're looking at her obituary right now, had contacted me on private messenger, and she told me she believed that Hailey was killed at her home on Cloudcroft Street in Odessa with a just huge amount of details. Okay, she told me there on that phone call that she felt like her life was in danger, and now she's dead. And so this is a huge story with Hailey Dunn and a lot of information, but this one basically is what Melissa Rana Campbell Brot told me, and I'm gonna, because she didn't want me to release the information, but now that she's no longer alive. I also want to say that, you know, my doctor recently told me that I was going to die. He just flat out said, "You're going to die," and due to some kidney medical issues, which I believe are directly related to being poisoned in my home by the same people that, you know, that are behind all these crimes. You know, they're trying to cover up the underground facilities and all the multiple murders and et cetera. You know, with that, I also want to say that, you know, it is very dangerous talking about this murder of Hailey Dunn. You know, many people have said it. They believed it was connected with a Aryan Brotherhood gang. You know, that murdered her. Several people have, and you know, and I know myself, I'm really just the messenger, other than I sent an email to the Department of Justice on March 14, 2013, and suggested they look in the underground facilities here by my home for clues in the disappearance of Hailey, and 2 days later her remains were found in Scurry County. And so just the timing of that, you know, suggests that they dug up her body and moved her, because now there's a dozen people or more saying that she was killed over in Odessa. And so, you know, anybody that wants to solve the murder of a little girl, then, you know, I'm sure they're on my side. But people involved in the murder of that little girl, they want to silence me and anybody else talks about it. They probably want to kill Nancy Grace, you know, because that's what they want to do. You know, the millions of people know about Hailey, you know, they don't, you know, they want me to be silent, because I think, you know, obviously this is on the trail to the people that killed Hailey. So anyways, with that said, let me show you here. This is very interesting. 10/15/17, Melissa Rana Campbell Brot contacted me on Facebook Messenger under Angel Cherry and said that she believed Hailey Dunn was murdered at 6619 Cloudcroft, her home in Odessa. She also told me that she had two cousins that worked for Midland Police Department, and that she believed her life was in total jeopardy. That's how she put it. On 8/20/18, I emailed Midland Chief of Police Seth Herman the entire conversation with Rana, and he replied back. I'm going to show you that here in a minute. On 9/27/18, I emailed Seth Herman a recording of a woman telling me that kids were buried under a home near my home, and then that's when I found out that the chief of police had blocked my emails. He didn't want any more communications. You can see that that's less than a month later. Okay, and then here we are, just a few months after that, Melissa Rana Campbell is dead, and that's one reason I'm releasing, you know, this private messages here, and so I just wanted to kind of start that out, and from there I want to give you a short history. I got it here somewhere. Okay, because this is a long case. There's many people documenting, and I've really been the messenger, other than the email I sent to the Department of Justice 2 days before her remains were found. She'd been missing for 2 years, and as soon as I send that email, all of a sudden they find her remains, and so nobody looked here. But the 2010 oil show party, I think, based on evidence I found out that her mom was a stripper. It makes sense that her mom was at the underground oil show parties in 2010, where another young girl was murdered at, that Angie McGee Hurley was at, and I'm suspecting that Billy Dunn was at those parties because she was a stripper in the area at the time. It just makes sense. And then I was also told that she was taking Hailey to the strip clubs with her, so it makes sense that she took Hailey to the oil show party. So it looks like maybe Hailey Dunn and Billy Dunn, and maybe even possibly Clint Dunn, were in the underground homes here at the oil show parties, you know, maybe in the one in my backyard in 2010. Curtis Lloyd there. He's the guy that just happened to find Hailey Dunn's remains, 2 days after I wrote that email to the Department of Justice. And then I later find out that his parents, and maybe he grew up in a home on Dartmouth Street where the next door neighbor was reporting people in the attic, So the question's been asked if there was a tunnel going from that home over to the victim's home, and Curtis Lloyd has a connection to this crime ring that's rigging private homes all over the place with hidden underground access. Okay, News West 9, they did a report in 2012. Sonja Rene Callahan wrote a letter saying that she was at a home over in Odessa where a girl matching Hailey's description had overdosed and died. She tells how they were laughing at her before they murdered her and how it was all over a family drug debt. You can find that online. And then Sonja Rene Callahan called me, and I secretly recorded that phone call. She described to me the moment that Hailey died over the phone, and then she named a whole list of people. I'm going to show you them names in a minute. Brenda Paradise is a private investigator that was from Houston, I think lives in Alaska now. Brenda had told me that when they found the remains of Hailey, they didn't find any hair, and which confirmed what Terrin Thomas, the next one down, had told me. Terrin said that they had shaved Hailey's head like 2 weeks before she's overdosed. She said her and about 10 friends knew that Hailey was at that home over in Odessa. She didn't know Brenda had already told me that no hair was found. It just confirmed what Terrin Thomas said. Okay. Terrin Thomas, also the one that created the Facebook hate slander group against me, had 100 members, and so she was the leader or the creator of that slander hate Facebook group against me. There's videos on that. Angelina Mitchell's, as far as I know, a Hailey Dunn blogger. Her name has been brought up several times. She's the one that talked to Allison on the phone call. That is so the tell-all from the prison where she talks about her baby daddy Birdie, described how they kidnapped Hailey over in Colorado City and named names. Once again, I'm going to show you them names. Brandi Dunn contacted me, and she told me it happened at the home of Brooke Ownensby's house. It was recorded, and that it was connected to the murder of Cody Mercer, which was Brooke Owensby's boyfriend. Okay. Genesse Freiman driver and Stacie, who was an admin for Hope for Hailey's, the two that I documented, telling me that Billy Dunn, the mom, was a stripper in the area. That's why I think she was at the old show parties. Mikel Morales, I documented him. He told me that Clint, the dad, was pimping out the daughter to his old friends. Maybe that was at the old show parties. That's what underground old show parties in 2010. Just recently, it was said that was a house of prostitution and suspected for high rollers, maybe illegal casino, etc. Okay. Allison Frazier phone call, and that's the tell-all I was talking about a while ago. She calls out the friend. She describes, how Birdie had told her, and Birdie's Kevin Rickman, how they had kidnapped Hailey over in Colorado City, and they were pimping her out over in Odessa. Jessica Lee Hadley, she told me that she watched them videos. It was recorded, the murders of Cody Mercer and Hailey Dunn, and they were disgusting, so that was more confirmation. And then the recorded phone call is, which I've never named that person because she's concerned for her life, like Rana was, and Rana's now dead, and said Hailey killed over a drug debt, and I've made a video of that about Hailey killed over drug debt. She said on that phone call it was Max Mays under the orders from Letty, a drug dealer, had killed Hailey. Now, keep in mind, that's not Buddy said. Buddy, I'm just the messenger trying to solve the murder of a child, right? Which I think is connected back to the crimes at my house and that left me crippled in multiple other murders, okay? And then a neighbor that lives by my house, I've kept her anonymous, and she said there was emails sent where another guy, Woodgrain, that was his nickname, Woodgrain C.J. Haynes, was there at the house where Hailey was killed at, along with the girlfriend, and I can't remember that name right off the bat. I think I got it wrote down. Names mentioned. Kristi Otts, the drug rehab counselor, said that Brett Bushman confessed to the murder of Hailey Dunn with graphic details. That's several videos on that. Names mentioned on the phone call with Sonja Rene Callahan was Joe Court, David Allison, Casey Frazee, Kevin Rickman, Dustin Braddock, David Parker, Brooke Ownensby, Letty, Billy Phelps, Max Mays, Jackie Thompson. Okay. Names mentioned on the recorded phone call by Allison Frazier were Kevin Rickman again, Hamby Plastic, Casey Frazier again, Dustin Braddock again, Joe Cross, David Allison, David Parker, Sonja, Rene, Callahan, and Jackie Thompson. Interestingly, Jackie Thompson was a former Midland or Odessa police officer, and Allison said on the recorded phone call that Hailey was buried in his backyard for a while, and then the names mentioned on the recorded phone call of a still anonymous witness was Joe Van Zant, Casey Frazee, Dustin Braddock, David Allison, Angelina Mitchell, Max Mays, Letty, Cody Mercer. All these same names keep coming up by different people over and over and over. And once again, Buddy didn't say anything. Buddy just, have recorded phone calls and documented screenshots trying to solve the murder of a little girl, And the names mentioned by my neighbor was Woodgrain, C.J. Haynes, and his young girlfriend, Courtney McDuffie. And Allison confirmed that she believed Haynes was there. And this is the story of what Rene Brot told me, okay? And so that's what this video is here. And I haven't, a video I'm going to show you here in a minute. I'm gonna put it on the end of this. But what we're going to do is this is my email, my Gmail. Okay, I want to show you. So Chief Herman here, I sent an email to Chief Herman on August, this is real important, August 20th, 2018, okay? And I said, this is a Facebook private message with Melissa Rene Brot, who goes by Angel Sherry on Facebook. There's a lot of information about the murder of Hailey Dunn, the murder of Cody Mercer, the oil show party murder in Midland, and other murders in the local area included in the file that I attached. I copied and pasted the entire conversation. It confirms much of the other statements I've documented by others such as Kristi, Otts, Sonja, Rene, Callahan, Terrin Thomas, Angelina Mitchell, Brandi Dunn, Allison, Frazier. She asked me to keep the name confidential because she believes the people in the Aryan Brotherhood would kill her Aryan Circle. Okay. And then I went on and told the chief of police another burglar alarm goes off in my home yesterday while I filmed it and posted it online. And 4 days ago, I made a video called Things to See, which are things to see on the outside of my house. And it's at 34,000 views and still counting. So I sent them to our current Midland chief of police, Seth Herman. Okay, so this was a copy and paste of the private message. Okay, and I said this is a Facebook private message by Melissa Rena Brot, who goes by Angel on Facebook. There's a lot of information about the murder of Hailey, etc. She asked me her name to keep her name confidential because she believes that people in the Aryan Brotherhood would kill her. And there's just page 1 of this long document that I sent, and then the video things to see at my house. Okay, Seth, the chief, he replied back the next day, August 21st, 2018. He said, Mr. Webb, thanks for forwarding this information. I will touch base with our state counterparts for presentation. Okay, and I wrote him again the next day. And about another burglar alarm going on in my home. That's the repeated crimes connected to homes being rigged all over Midland, Odessa for burglary, theft, murder, and of course a premeditated home invasion murder to my lot. Okay, here's my, it's going to find this real interesting. This one was the next month on September 27, 2018. Okay, to Seth Herman again. Okay, last Friday night, 9/21/18, a woman knocked on my kitchen window while I was standing at the sink, which really freaked me out. She wanted to talk to me, so I started up my voice recorder, put it in my pocket, and let her in. I've attached the recording. Her name is Ashley Alberg, and I found out that she lives just right up the road at 3801 Fairhaven. I got the feeling that she had information on the many crimes here. When I told her about the story of the young girl who was murdered at the 2010 oil show party for refusing to prosecute, she looked away in sadness, which made me wonder if she was actually there. My understanding is a lot of people there, according to Angie McGee. See, I was telling the chief Angie's name back then. Okay, and then I go on, Rhonda Denman Rogers says underground facility half block away. Anyway, I attached this recording of this woman telling me children were buried under this home just right down the street from me, and that's right here in that attachment, that WMA file, and all these proof, screenshots. These are the addresses of many homes people reported people in the attic. Here's a guy that got the name of Michael Sean Williams, the the dead guy created a Facebook and contacted me on the Dr. Stalker stuff, and that's what this is proof I wasn't shot with my gun, which proved a murder attempt, on the secret police that I had to pay to get identified, I mean, that, if that isn't amazing in itself. Okay. Anyway, next day, what I find out, or as soon as I'm on it, message block, your message to Seth Herman, Midland, Texas, has been blocked. So I sent him information that on the murder of famous 13-year-old Hailey Dunn. I mean, it wasn't Buddy said, she said. I've got the print screens in there, and it's obviously, and our chief of police blocked me, and now Melissa is dead. Okay. And, and as I said a minute ago, she told me that 2 of her cousins were Midland police officers, Okay. And here's back on the history. The names mentioned by Sonja Rene Callahan and the phone call recorded: Joe Corp, David Allison, Casey Frazee, Kevin Rickman, Dustin Bragg, David Barker, Brooke Letty, and Billy Phillips, Max Mays, and Jackie Thompson. Okay. You can go find that yourself. There's a video called Hailey Dunn Person's Interest Shortlist on my YouTube channel. Okay. The names mentioned by Allison were Kevin Rickman, Birdie, Plastic, Hamby. They all have nicknames. Casey Frazee, Dustin Braddock, Static is what they called him, Joe Cross, Kevin Rickman, David Allison, David Parker, Sonja Rene Callahan, and Jackie Thompson, the Odessa police officer. Okay, this was Allison, different person. And as you can see, almost all the same names. Okay, and so that was just on the history. And then now what we're going to look at is, here I'm going to show you right here. Here is the Facebook today. What happened is, I was thinking about this because I've kept her anonymous, other that I did send it to law enforcement. And see, that's the other thing. If you contact me and say, I've got information on the murder of a little child, keep it secret. I'm not going to keep it secret from law enforcement. Okay. And, and so here I'm like, this needs to be out in the public, to put pressure on law enforcement. Now, the law enforcement, when I send them evidence on a murder of a capital murder on a little girl, I get blocked. That's what's going on. That's how ridiculous it's going on. So here you can see by the picture, Angel Cherry is Melissa Rene Brotman. But here's on the message here, okay, our private message, and then we can back up here. You can see all the messages stopped. She was forwarding some to me, and she actually sent me this as a religious church message here, this guy right here. And that was sent 10/28/18, and and of course she died right there in February 2019. And this right here is the long message that was sent to the chief of police, and then I'm going to show you in this next video. Okay. Once again, Buddy didn't say that he said, she said. There's no he said, she said. I recorded phone calls. I got screenshots of the messages, and and now I expect law enforcement to act on this overwhelming, huge amount of evidence. As I said before, I believe Hailey was in the underground facility, okay, with her mom at the 2010 oil show parties. And then the people there, remember, it was a place for high rollers, a house of prostitution for high rollers. And they don't want anybody to find out that the famous missing murdered 13-year-old Hailey Dunn was at a sex party there with them, and I think that's where all the cover-up's going. And maybe the direct reason why our chief of police blocks emails from the guy that's sending him evidence on capital murders. And sadly, we don't have any kind of true press or media here to ask the hard questions on going, why are you doing that? I mean, doesn't the public matter at all here? And so I'm going to show you this video on Melissa Rena Brot.